And don't go. There's one more thing. Cheryl Webb Scott, who's been an avid supporter of the program, would like to present you one more piece of memorabilia and fond wishes. Cheryl?
I really don't need this. I have such a powerful voice. This is from the students. They put this book together for you. They wrote poetry. They wrote letters to you. They did drawings. They took photographs for you. They wanted you to take this home as a gift from them, something that they can give to you that you can keep forever. Not that you don't have wonderful memories, but now you have something you can actually hold. Congratulations.
For our final selection, we would like to have all of the students of Wakefield High School in the music department, the Wakefield High School Concert Band, and the Wakefield High School Chamber Singers to perform our final piece. Before we do that, Ron and I have something we'd like to present. Why don't you take it?
Kim and I would like very much to take this opportunity to extend our personal and sincere gratitude to Dr. Mayo, who has been the inspiration and driving force behind our work here at Wakefield High School for the past 7 years. He has attended nearly every concert, every play, musical, recital, and awards banquet that our department has presented. He has provided continual support, both in word and in deed. His genuine enthusiasm for the arts is largely responsible for the success of our program, its growth, and its hope for the future.
Although you are leaving, Steve, we will always look to you for moral support and hope to see you again in our musical events. To commemorate the time, energy, and love that you have so selflessly donated to the students and teachers of our music department, we have created a new award in your name to be presented to a graduating senior at the spring concert each year. And the plaque reads, the Dr. Stephen F. Mayo Performing Arts Award, presented to that student who has demonstrated enthusiasm, dedication, and versatility in the performing arts, and who has shown a commitment to excellence in vocal, instrumental, and theatrical events at Wakefield High School, the Dr. Stephen F. Mayo Performing Arts Award. And now featuring our very talented senior, Beth LaPierre. She'll be the lead vocalist and would like to do a tribute to Dr. Mayo because he truly has been the wind beneath our wings. Sorry. It must have been cold there in the shadows to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let us shine, that's your way. You always walked a step behind. So we were the ones with all the glory, while you're the one with all the strength. A beautiful face without a name for so long. A beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're a hero? And everything we would like to be. We can fly higher than an eagle, 'cause you are the wind beneath our wings. appeared to go unnoticed. But we've got it all here in our hearts. We want you to know we know the truth. Of course we know it. We would be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're a hero? And everything we would like to be. We can fly higher than an eagle. 'Cause you are the wind beneath our wings. Did we ever tell you you're a hero? You're everything, everything we wish we could be. Oh, and we can fly higher than an eagle. 'Cause you are the wind beneath our wings. 'Cause you are the wind beneath our wings. Thank you very much, and that concludes our portion of the program.
Steve and Chet, I've enjoyed working with you both, and also your friendship. May you both have a wonderful retirement.
It is a pleasure to introduce Wayne Tarr, the Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, who will bring the greetings of the town of Wakefield and to express the gratitude of the townspeople to our honored guests. While serving his community as Chairman and member of the Board of Public Works and serving as the current Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Wayne has shown a keen interest in education and our town both as a parent and as a public official. I am pleased to introduce to you Wayne Tarr, the Chairman of the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you very much, Al. First of all, it's an honor to be here this afternoon as we honor two outstanding individuals as Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee. Al had mentioned that those of us that take the political elected role in this community sometimes have to look upon ourselves both from the way that we perform from a personal life with those things that go on at our home as well as the interests of the community. I'm here to tell you that as a parent and an elected official, it's been comforting over these years to be able to contact both Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee, both personally and from the community. What I find more interesting than that is what other community is there other than Wakefield, where you could have two doctors at the head of your educational system, and you could call them at any time and ask, Steve or Chet, can you help me out? When you think of that, I think it speaks very highly for the two individuals we're here for today. I'd like to just run a quick story of a recent happening. It concerns Dr. Mayo, but it certainly, I think, speaks well for the way that Dr. Lee looks at education as well. About 6 or 7 months ago, the town meeting here they appropriated $500,000 for the school department to appoint a building committee. And the charge of that building committee was some modular classrooms at the Walton School, some renovations at the Hurd, and the superintendent's renovations here. The school committee, in its wisdom, appointed quite a diverse group. The people that are on the committee are parents, elected officials. There's engineering background, there's a lawyer, there's some of us in the construction industry. And I think their purpose in doing that was to ensure that the town and the school department certainly got what they paid for. We were fortunate in hiring a great architect who was a great watchdog and I think did an outstanding job, and I think the committee did an outstanding job. But as you all know, any of you that follow the media here locally, there's been some bumps in the road at the Walton School project. And as those bumps have come up in the meetings, I think we've been meeting for about 6 months, Steve, am I correct? As those bumps in the road have come up, Those of us from the construction end are looking at the details that really involve construction. The people that are on the school committee are naturally looking at it as to their commitment to the school department itself. We've got an attorney that we whisper back and forth, is it legal for us to do that, to the contractor? We've got the architect feeding us the information of what we should be doing. And no matter what way you look at it, everybody's concerns are to get the best for the town. But in each and every meeting, and there's been some pretty tough meetings, I must admit, particularly with a contractor. Before we leave the door, the one thing that Steve Mayo always says is, we have to think of the children. And I think that speaks loudly of the service that both Steve and Chet have given this community over a total, I might add, of 70 years, I think. As I read the dates here, I don't want to age either one of you, but is there a community around that has 2 educators that have been dedicated to the educational system for 70 years? I doubt it. So, on behalf of the town of Wakefield and the Board of Selectmen, congratulations. Both individuals deserve it. Many, many years of health and happiness. Thank you on behalf of the town and my children as well.
Steve and Chet, it's been a lot of years. We've shared offices together and office suites together, the ups and the downs. This is really an up time for both of you, and Barbara and I are very happy for you. Very envious, too, as a matter of fact.
Right.
We wish you the very best of luck, success, happiness, health. It's been wonderful working with you. The best of luck. Thank you.
As citizens and parents, we acknowledge the high quality and substance of our educational program through the contributions of Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee. It is appropriate that we acknowledge the perspective of the beneficiaries of the educational program, namely the students of Wakefield. Representing the students of the town of Wakefield, past, present, and the future, is Scott Simpson. Scott ranks first in the class of 1994. He received the Freedom Foundation Xerox Award and the Brown Book Award, and is currently president of the class of 1994 at Wakefield High School. It is an extreme pleasure to present to you the president of the class of 1994, Scott Simpson.
Good afternoon. It is certainly a pleasure and a privilege to be able to speak to you today in this program. As Mr. Palmerino mentioned, I've been president for the class of 1994 for 4 years, and on behalf of the class, I would like to extend my hearty congratulations to you, Dr. Lee, and you, Dr. Mayo, on your retirements. And I would like to speak briefly on your years of service from my perspective as a high school senior. Now, Proposition 2.5 has caused a plethora of problems for communities across the state. Wakefield, like many other towns, has seen its share of teachers rift, office staff depleted, supplies reduced, substitute teacher system reorganized, and students being juggled around to fit into existing conditions. Despite the effects of Proposition 2.5, I feel I have received a superb education in the Wakefield school system. I was given access to honors and advanced placement courses, which have made me extremely competitive in my college applications. My high school preparation has allowed me to win a Chancellor's Scholarship to the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, and for this, I thank you. Opportunities, however, exist for all students at all different levels at Wakefield High School. Food service program, the student-run branch of the Wakefield Savings Bank, and the DECA program have allowed many of my classmates to explore their interests and receive an excellent education. And though clubs may involve user fees now, there are still clubs. I have been lucky enough to be a 4-year member of the Wakefield High School math team and a peer leader, and for this, I thank you. 2 weeks ago, I attended a drama club production of The Elephant Man. Adam Chapman, Greg Boyner, Tim Hilton, and cast were outstanding. To have witnessed or to have been a part of this excellent production was an unforgettable experience. Thank you for keeping the drama program intact. As you know, the Wakefield High School Marching Band won another state championship this year. Wakefield is known throughout the state for its excellent and strong music program. For your support of this program, I thank you. I am the captain of 2 varsity sports, cross country and basketball. I cannot imagine having gone through the Wakefield High School without a commitment to a team or the memories which will stay with me throughout my life. So for all the sports programs that have been saved, I thank you. The important point here is that in all of these programs and courses, quality has never been sacrificed or compromised. It is one thing to save a program and entirely another to maintain a certain level of quality with reduced funding. I think any senior at Wakefield High School could tell you that he or she has had overwhelming access to quality programs at the high school. I think that speaks volumes about the type of work that Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee have done for the Wakefield school system. So from this senior's perspective, you have held a steady ship in very rough waters. Everyone can agree that educational funding has to change, but someone has to run the schools while the changing process occurs. Thanks so much for your tireless efforts, and congratulations and best wishes for a healthy and happy retirement. Thank you.
Steve and Chet, although you've always referred to me as your token woman on the faculty in terms of an athletic director, Chet, especially you, in spite of it all, I'm going to wish you both a very happy and healthy retirement, and you will be missed around here. Best of luck to both of you.
The parent-teacher organizations of Wakefield, individually and through the Executive Council, have assumed an important responsibility in student development through their active support and collaboration with our professional staff. Under the Educational Reform Act, the respective roles of parents and teachers have increased substantially. Symbolic of their mutual cooperation and support, I am pleased to introduce two dedicated professionals who continue to make important contributions to our school system. I am pleased to introduce, representing the Executive Council of Parent-Teacher Organizations in Wakefield, Mrs. Debbie Bongiorno, and the President of the Wakefield Teacher Association, Joan Rossi.
Make an adjustment here. You want to read your thing? I'll hold this for you. Okay.
Okay, do you want?
Yeah,
There we go. Okay, now let's try it.
Nanu, congratulations on your retirement. My cousins and I are happy that you will now have more time to play with us.
I'll go for this one, okay. The pages of this chapter are filled with more recognition of your many years of dedicated commitment to the children of Wakefield. I am delighted to represent my professional colleagues in wishing you both a retirement filled with contentment and good health. The gifts we will present to you are a token of our appreciation for all that you have done for the Wakefield educational community and a special remembrance of your services as officers in the Wakefield Teachers Association.
On behalf of the PTOs of Wakefield, we would like to thank Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee for all their support and their commitment to the students of Wakefield. And on the back table are gifts for you from all the schools, from all the students. And we have a special student representing all the students today, and he's going to you're going to bring this, right? And one for Dr. Lee. Thank you.
Hi, Steve and Chet. I would like to thank you for all of your many years of commitment to the children of Wakefield and to the town of Wakefield. And I certainly want to wish both of you the best of luck in your retirement. And if I can personally be of any assistance to you in the days ahead, please feel free to call on me. Thank you.
Dr. Mayo's work on behalf of education has not been confined to the classroom. His deep interest in our students extends to the future as well as to the academic preparation. One such extraordinary area of interest of Dr. Mayo is the Citizen Scholarship Foundation. Honoring Dr. Mayo is the president of the Citizen Scholarship Foundation of Wakefield, Mr. Bob Eldridge.
Thank you, Al. Good afternoon. Kids are certainly a hard act to follow, but in being asked to speak here this afternoon, it was stressed several times, keep it to a minute, maybe two. How do you honor a guy that has given 18 years of his life and commitment to an organization here in town in just 2 minutes? But that's what we're going to try to do. Dr. Mayo joined Citizen Scholarship of Wakefield as a member of the Board of Directors in 1975. He's always been active, attending board meetings regularly over the past 18 years, is credited with the first bringing the idea of the Phonathon to Wakefield chapter. The Phonathon has been and remains our single largest fundraiser. Today, it's handled entirely by the students with just a little adult supervision. We've estimated that we have been able to collect more than $250,000 from just this one fundraiser to benefit the students of Wakefield since the first Phonathon in 1980. Steve has also been responsible for Citizen Scholarship being honored with a Freedom Foundation Award in 1988. He has been a significant part of our growth from one of the 12 original chapters in 1960 to one of the largest, in fact, the largest Dollars for Scholars chapter in the entire United States. As education of young people has been Steve's driving vision for his entire professional life, the Executive Committee of the Citizen Scholarship of Wakefield feels it is only fitting to recognize his service to Wakefield students in yet another arena, their education after they have left the Wakefield school system. Using the monies that we have been able to gather through the interest from the funds, our General Investment Reserve Fund, we have voted to establish the Dr. Stephen F. Mayo Fund in his honor. In this way, the Citizen Scholarship of Wakefield can both honor and maintain his legacy of dedication to Wakefield's children. Steve, thank you for your many years of service to not only CSF, but the entire community.
Dr. Lee and Dr. Mayo, congratulations on your retirement. This is Russ and Carol Manthe, co-presidents this year of the Wakefield Music Boosters. We wish you well. We thank you for what you've done for the program. And we want you to know that we moved to Wakefield 5 years ago because of the school system, largely thanks to you. Best wishes, and we hope you can continue your good work wherever you're going. Thanks a lot.
Having served over 20 years as a former chairman and member of the Wakefield School Committee, qualifies John Incarnaccio to comment on many educational areas. It is appropriate that John, having served many years with Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee, provide a brief historical review of the Mayo-Lee years. Is it a pleasure to welcome back John Incarnaccio back to the educational arena.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to be here today to pay tribute to a friend, to two friends, Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee. Dr. Stephen F. Mayo epitomizes professionalism, leadership, dedication, commitment, selflessness, and humility. He has always been a kind and caring man. I believe the foregoing statement characterizes how most people who have been associated with Dr. Mayo over the years view him as a family man, an educator, an administrator, and a friend. During the 15 years he has been the superintendent of the Wakefield school system, he has dealt with a myriad of complex problems and situations. His being a true professional led him to assess each problem and situation. He accepted each challenge and opportunity and made the school system everything it should be for the youth of our town. He has served with distinction since 1978 as our superintendent. During his superintendency, he has faced problems of a much greater magnitude than any of his predecessors. The town of Wakefield has experienced a decline in enrollment in the school population, the reduction and/or elimination of federal and state funds which supported mandated programs, the closing of schools, and the elimination of fiscal autonomy. Despite these setbacks, Dr. Mayo continued to provide the students of Wakefield with quality education. He did this through the establishment and implementation of innovative and creative alternatives. Quality education has continued in Wakefield as a result of Dr. Mayo's ability, his knowledge as an educator, and the dedication and excellent staff which he has worked with over the years. During his tenure as superintendent, Dr. Mayo has affected the education and lives of more than 55,600 students and graduates. On a personal note, I, as a parent, have 5 children. My wife, Trudy, who also happens to be a school teacher in the Wakefield school system, are very, very happy and satisfied with what the Wakefield school system has provided to our 5 children. John is a police officer in Dover, New Hampshire. Anthony is in his senior year at West Point. Christina, our oldest daughter, is a plebe at West Point. Andrea is probably given the high school fits. She's a freshman. And Nicole will be coming right along. She's in the 7th grade at the junior high school. We are proud of all of our 5 children, Trudy and I. But they had the opportunities here in Wakefield because of a caring superintendent, a dedicated staff, and the outstanding leadership of Dr. Mayo. While preparing for today's tribute, I thought that between my 21 years on the school committee and your 15 years as superintendent, the 2 of us probably should have had our heads examined somewhere along the line. But in all seriousness, I began a list of all the positive and worthwhile accomplishments of Dr. Mayo. Sort of a history. And it's too long to begin to try to list here this evening, the limited time that we have. But I think everybody in the room readily recognizes the outstanding contributions of both of these gentlemen. Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee have worked hard in a very dedicated way over and above what is normally expected of individuals. May I summarize? Dr. Mayo is one of the finest gentlemen with whom I have had the honor and pleasure to be associated with, and who I consider a true friend. On behalf of myself and all those who have served on Wakefield school committees, best wishes to you, Steve. Best wishes to you, Chet. May you, Steve, and Dorothy, enjoy all of life's pleasures and blessings. Good luck and Godspeed.
Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee, best wishes on your retirement. Dr. Mayo, I have had 16 wonderful years knowing you, and the last 2 years working with you has been a pleasure. You are a gentleman. You are a very caring and understanding individual. Good luck.
Marge McGrath shares the dedication and commitment of Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee to quality education and to the intellectual and human growth of each student. Her administrative and educational talents have been recognized by her professional peers and the community. We are fortunate to have Marge McGrath as the acting Deputy Superintendent of Schools in order that her talents for educational leadership may translate into educational growth of our students. I am very pleased to introduce the acting Deputy Superintendent of Schools, Marge McGrath.
Thank you very much, Mr. Palmerino. I'm very honored to be part of Dr. Mayo's and Dr. Lee's special recognition program this afternoon. Reflecting on the many fine tributes bestowed on Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee during today's program, I'd like to focus on their exceptional quality of teamwork. It reminds me of a story I heard recently about a talented organist who was giving an outstanding concert in a famous old church. As he reached intermission, he stepped to the back of the organ for a bit of rest. There he found an older gentleman smoking his pipe. As he rested from the chore of pumping air for the big organ, the fellow smiled and said, "We're giving them quite a concert, aren't we?" The organist responded tartly, "What do you mean we? I'm giving the concert." After the intermission, the organist went out front. In came the audience. The organist struck a pose with hands raised. Then he let them descend for the opening of the next number. There was no sound. He dashed behind the organ, and there sat the man puffing his pipe. The light dawned on the organist, and with a smile he admitted, "You are right. We are giving them a concert." Truly, Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee, in working together over many years, were strong team leaders for our school system, and together each day provided a great concert for Wakefield Public Schools. Each of them realized the value of team leadership in benefiting the students of Wakefield in many ways. Both of you will be missed, and you are wished much happiness, success, and contentment during your retirement years. On behalf of the administrative team, I'd like to present you with some tokens of our gratitude for your leadership and congratulations on your retirement.
Steve and Chet, it's been a pleasure knowing you all these years, and we hope that our friendship and association will continue for many years to come. Rose and I wish both of you a happy and healthy retirement, to do all the things you haven't had opportunity to do while you were working in the school department.
For many years, Rudy Feudo has graced our school system with his professional talents and unique teaching ability. When Chapter 766 was introduced in Wakefield, Rudy was appointed Director of Special Education to ensure a smooth beginning and a meaningful program for those children of special needs. Rudy was eventually appointed Assistant Superintendent of Schools and subsequently assumed many other substantial responsibilities. Even in his retirement, Rudy is part of the educational fabric of our school system. I am very pleased to introduce a model of congeniality and ability, Dr. Rudy Feudo, who will speak on behalf of his friend and colleague, Dr. Chet Lee.
Al is a tremendous gentleman. He always says nice things. I'd like to say good afternoon to all, and as I look around and see all the beautiful faces, I almost wish I were back. Almost. Nothing like golf in retirement. Good afternoon to all honored guests, colleagues, friends, relatives, and I see Cora sitting there nicely. I have known Chet Lee for many, many years. In all that time, I have never heard Chester toot his own horn. I'm happy and grateful for the opportunity to be here and the privilege of greeting you as Chet Lee's tutor. Let's play on words, Chet. As I look around the room, the big question is, who is Dr. Chester E. Lee? What is your perception? Eager, hardworking, dedicated, illustrious, reserved, gentle, tough, mysterious, a Korean veteran, United States Air Force, deputy superintendent, one who began his career as an elementary teacher in Wakefield. Tremendous salaries in those days, Al, $3,400. He spent it at Saratani's. You saw him rise through the ranks, assistant principal, principal of the West Side schools for 10 years, where the rumor prevailed that Chet Lee got more for the West Side school kids than anyone else. That was true. Easily recognized as an educational leader and a model and inspiration to kids and adults alike, Chet was able to influence the procurement of not only quality materials, but a quantity of them. As an elementary teacher, Chet always found something positive to say about every kid to help build a child's self-esteem. He always complimented and never criticized any child's work. I remember when a child turned in a paper to Chet. It was very poorly written. It was crooked, it was uneven, misspelling all over the place. Chet's very positive. He was able to write across the top of the paper, very good spaces. Bud Leonard, former principal, in his written evaluation of Chet said, "I believe there is a very successful future in education for this young man." And he was very prophetic. In your perception, Dr. Lee quietly hires staff for the opening of school each year. Looks like an easy job. The fact is, great organization, communications by Chet with teachers, administrators, principals, committees, made it seem easy. Chet exerted every effort and took great pride in hiring good staff. This was a pattern of perfection continuously demonstrated by Chet throughout his years. His rapport and respect for all staff members, both professional and non-professional, is legendary. Chet loves kids, Chet loves people. Dr. Lee has been justly credited for initiating and implementing the reading program as it exists today. But does anyone realize what kind of efforts are required to reach that point? The reading curriculum is now consistent in all elementary districts, and reading has been extended through Chet, through the junior high and high school. Part of the involvement evolved from your highly successful Chapter 1 program, developed and implemented by Dr. Lee in the decade 1966 to 1976. Chet's contribution to education were as many and varied as the different hats he wore. Dr. Lee was cited and honored by the U.S. Office of Education in its promulgation of Dr. Lee's innovations in the improvement of reading way back in 1969. It was only one of the many citations he's received. Dr. Lee's hat in 1978 and 79 included that of Director of Special Education while I took a brief hiatus. The choice of Dr. Lee to head up special education was not serendipity. It was not a happy accident. Not many know, perhaps not even his children, that Chet previously was in charge of guidance and special education in the Linfield Public Schools before the advent of Chapter 766. So he goes back a long way. Happy to note that Chet took care of things so that nobody missed me. Chet wore so many hats, too numerous to mention, And I'd like to cite a few that are mentioned inside that little pamphlet that you have there. Chet was completely proud of his Chapter 70 programs, the DECA program, the Farm Street Inn, electronics, the CAD programs, the computer programs, early childhood, and his favorite Metco. To do all this required lots and lots of money. Lots and lots of money. Dr. Lee was directly responsible for obtaining many substantial grants of $500,000 or more per year annually for over 17 years. That was over $9 million. Told him he ought to be working on a percentage basis. Again, one has to understand and appreciate the process required to write and obtain state grants. You just don't fill out a form. Person has to be creative. These are competitive. They're not entitlements. And they require an awful lot of effort. Chet provided all this. Hats, again, were quickly changed by Chet when he wrote up grants for both math and science. These grants were obtained to retrain staff and also to introduce advanced technology. He served also as a consultant for all elementary staff in the teaching of math. Although Chet was a summa cum laude student in college, everything was not perfect. Records show that Chet only received a B in elementary art. He still can't draw. He just can't do it. But Chet made up for this when he introduced a very successful can-do approach for all kids as part of the fabulous Wakefield Academy. This great program was developed as a model for the state and is published by the State Department of Education and is presented as a workshop model annually at the Chapter 1 conference. It should be a model for every grade and for every class. As director of the North Shore Regional Teacher Aid Program, Chet developed a manual and guide called In-Service Training Manual for Instructional Aids. It's published and used as the official state guide. As president of the board of directors of the Northeast Consortium, involving some 37 communities, Chet organized training opportunities for unlimited staff. Last year alone, over 1,200 teachers participated in this program. There is so much more, and I could talk for 3 hours about what this man has done. However, the reality, who is Chet Lee? In my book, and for those who know, Chet Lee is a giant in education. Having had the privilege of working with this giant for many, many years at different levels, local, state, federal, he's greatly sought after as an advisor, a presenter, a consultant, and a person of total integrity, reliability, and more, which puts him in great demand. I think Chet would have worked out very well in the National Diplomatic Corps. Incidentally, as most of you know, Chet has a very quick wit and a very disarming sense of humor. These attributes often serve to relieve the very tense situations and bring opposing groups into line. I know I sat in the middle of those millions of times. Chet's casual, cool, and relaxed approach is very deliberate. He is well prepared at all times. Chet has been the recipient of many citations, and I would like to cite just one special one received by our Phi Delta Kappa person. The citation from the Thai Organization, Training and Information Exchange, for his great work on state issues on special education was a classic piece of work. But does all this greatness make you a world-renowned person? Are you recognized by all, even locally? 2 weeks before retirement, Dr. Lee visited a first grade sing-along at Doyle School, one of his favorite schools. After his visit, his teacher asked the youngsters, "Does anybody know who that man is?" One little girl spoke up. She says, "I think he's the Super Nintendo of schools." The effects of TV. You know, nowadays we go out to dine and we stay home for a movie. Think about it. Thus the reality. The Chet Lee I know, you now know somewhat, a super guy, a Super Nintendo, a giant in education, or as former Superintendent John Hendershot noted on the bottom of his interview page where it said comments, when he interviewed Chet in July of 1957, last year. He said, "Nice looking boy." Dr. Chester E. Lee, you have enriched the lives of so many people. I could spend hours talking about what you've done for adults as well as students. Please accept the wishes of everyone. You've been a great guy, and I wish you the best, and to your family. Thank you.
To Steve and Chet, I'd like to wish you a great retirement. I've enjoyed all the years we've worked together, and I treasure your friendship. Thank you.
Our next speaker possesses a curriculum vitae that is worthy of a program in itself. Paul Andrews has served on numerous commissions and boards on behalf of the governors of the Commonwealth, United States Office of Education, and individual committees concerning health, physical education, drug abuse, and health planning. He is the author of numerous educational publications and has also served on many civic boards and committees in his hometown of Woburn. Specifically, Mr. Andrews has served as president of the Harvard Roundtable of Superintendents. He has served on the Massachusetts Association of School and Curriculum Development. He serves on the New England Association of School Superintendents, presently serving as president of that association, and currently serves as superintendent of schools in the seat of Woburn, Massachusetts. And he also possesses a genuine sense of humor. He almost had me convinced that this affair is being held at the Wakefield Lodge of Elks. In any event, I'm very pleased to present to you the Superintendent of Schools of the City of Woburn, and speaking on behalf of Dr. Mayo, Mr. Paul Andrews.
Thank you, Al. First of all, if you know Al, you know he gets very nervous about these kind of events. So he called me at least 5 times to ask if I was coming, and I said I'll be there at 4 o'clock at the Sons of Italy, the Elks Hall on Route 128. He said, no, no, no. He gets very, very nervous. First of all, let me say this is Chapter 7, so you're almost there. I've been out there, so that obviously it's important you know that. I would say that it's a hard act to talk about a sense of humor, but looking also at some great people. Chet Lee, for example, is a great musical talent. He's my lead singer at the Westford Regency Secretary's Christmas Party, and Chet has done that very well. A few of you, I'm sure, know that talent. I first knew Chet as a member of the Toreadors. A Toreador is the group of assistant superintendents, and I think you know what a Toreador does. And that obviously was Chet's role to handle the bull that was going around the room during that time. We met at various places. Chet used to pick isolated small restaurants. Pillar House on Route 128, the Boston Yacht Club. He had outstanding sites that he picked for our meetings. Steve Mayo. Steve is a gentleman's gentleman. He's a lover of strange hats, as I always say. He's a person who likes to enjoy his colleagues in the superintendency. If there's a gathering of superintendents in a meeting, and there are many out here today, Steve, to honor you and to respect you and to Chet, then obviously you had Steve present. And he always brought great insight and great assistance to all the superintendents across the Commonwealth. He was a superintendent who, when you called him in the morning from Woburn and asked if he was going to call off school, he was driving around the town of Wakefield just to check that it was snowing in all parts of Wakefield and not just lake effect snow off of Quannapowitt. I would invariably call Steve's home at 4, 5:30 or 4:30 in the morning, and I'd hear Chet's wife saying he's out. Now, there's been a foot of snow in Woburn, and you know there's been a foot of snow in Wakefield. But obviously Chet was making sure every street in this town had snow before he would cancel. I would therefore like today, on a very formal level and a very personal level, say that these two gentlemen have represented your town so well. Certainly you ought to be proud of Chet, your assistant superintendent, and obviously Steve Mayo. They have brought not only great dignity to this town, but to the superintendents across this Commonwealth respect them so deeply. They are well respected from the Berkshires to the Cape. They are thought of with tremendous ability and tremendous skills, and I want all of you here in Wakefield to know that. I have a double-fold presentation piece to make tonight, and I'll try to live within Al's recommendation of a couple of minutes. Let me first of all say that one of these is a plaque I'm presenting on behalf of the person who wishes who is here today, our District Attorney, Tom Riley. Steve Maio was one of the founding fathers of Project Alliance, which is a group of superintendents and school districts that have brought so many programs across the state. I would like to, on behalf of the District Attorney of this county, present to Steve Maio a plaque from the District Attorney of Middlesex County. This plaque is in recognition for the tremendous service that Steve has rendered to Project Alliance and to all school students across the Middlesex County and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Congratulations, Steve. And if you will stay. One of the symbolic functions that I will be performing this year is that one of the very symbolic signs of the superintendency is the school bell. And the school bell is obviously referred to in my comments about Steve as he is called off school in so many days. Therefore, I would like to ask if Chet would join us up here for a moment as I present to both Steve Maio and to Chet Lee a bell on behalf of the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents and all superintendents in this room and assistant superintendents for their great work in the superintendency. Steve? And Chet. And last but not least, I referred a few moments ago about Steve and his hats, not knowing I was going to be outdone by the music group earlier. However, I thought it was appropriate today that I present to both Steve and to Chet a cap from the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents. And if they would put them on so that you can all see. Now, I've never seen, obviously, Chet in the cap. You will today. And I've seen him in the cap all the time. Therefore, you see. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations, Steve. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Dr. Lee and Dr. Mayo, on behalf of the maintenance staff and the custodial staff and bus drivers, and my personal congratulations to both of you, and I hope you have a very successful retirement and a very productive one. And it's been a pleasure working with the both of you, and I hope this is not the end of our relationship. Thank you very much.
Dr. David Driscoll is the past president of the Harvard Superintendent's Roundtable. He's a member of the Executive Board of Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents. He was appointed Vice President of Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents at the time of his appointment as Deputy Commissioner of Education. And of course, he is formerly Superintendent of Schools in the city of Melrose. Dr. Driscoll shares the vision of Commissioner Antonucci of a Department of Education dedicated to providing improved services so that schools can help every child with the values, knowledge, and skills needed to achieve their full potential. It is always a pleasure to welcome Dr. Driscoll back to Wakefield, not only as the Deputy Commissioner of Education, but also as a friend. It's an honor to introduce you to the Deputy Commissioner of Education of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Dr. David Driscoll.
Thank you, Al. It's always a great pleasure for me to be here in Wakefield. I have the pleasure this afternoon of reading a letter from Commissioner Antonucci. As Steve and Chet know, Commissioner Antonucci has had a very hectic first 18 months as Commissioner of Education in Massachusetts, and we finally convinced him to take a vacation, which he is doing today. He finally trusts his Deputy Commissioner, I think. By the way, now that I've left the superintendency in Melrose and Paul is retiring, by the way, in Woburn, and now Steve is retiring, I suppose now, Steve, we can tell the truth about those calls at 5 o'clock in the morning. Fact of the matter is that Paul Andrews used to be up 2-3 hours before us. He'd start about 2 o'clock in the morning. Bill, you know this. Bill Horrigan is here. By the way, many superintendents and assistant superintendents from the area are here. Dan O'Connell, formerly from Watertown, Bill Hoyt from Stoneham, and Tom Markham from the regional school and so forth. But Paul would have already made the decision that he was going to call off school. So Steve and I used to go along just to make him look good, and I think it's about time we do it. Before I read the letter from Dr. Antonucci, I would like to just add a personal note. As the former superintendent in Melrose, I probably more than anyone of Steve and Chet's colleagues know how much their counsel and support meant to the rest of us. They were always there when you needed help, and for that, I thank you both. It is an honor and personal privilege to send the greetings of the Commissioner's Office on this occasion of Wakefield's tribute to two outstanding educators. This is not by any means the usual event that occurs or has occurred in many communities for other dedicated and effective administrators. We are today saluting two individuals who each have given extraordinary service to their school system, and when you combine both records of accomplishments, 70 years of service, it is truly an unprecedented event for the state. It is for you in Wakefield to know the many local contributions of Dr. Lee and Dr. Mayo, the programs that they have initiated, the children and families they have helped, staff members they have encouraged, promoted, and supported. Buildings were fixed, built, closed, or like Wakefield High School, expanded. It is hard to even imagine the hours and days that Chet and Steve have spent in service to the town and school system of Wakefield. What I can attest to as Commissioner of Education is the impact that both of these gentlemen have had in a larger context beyond Wakefield. Dr. Lee has been a leader in the region in bringing together curriculum leaders and forming the school executives group, which I had the privilege of addressing this past June 4th. It was the first public forum following the passage of the new law. Chet was also a leader in forming the New England Consortium, which thrives today as a model program for the exchange of ideas and materials between school systems. Dr. Mayo has not only been a recognized leader among superintendents, but he has served as a role model for many school administrators, including this commissioner. It is always my good fortune to interact with Steve, either through the State Superintendents Association, the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, Merrimack Valley Roundtable, or the Commissioner's Invitational October Conference. He has had a strong impact on his colleagues, and as always the perfect gentleman, he has been a role model for us all. I had the honor of sharing a platform with him this past April in East Boston, and as the Master of Ceremonies, he did his usual superlative job, bringing great credit to his family, his heritage, and as always, his community of Wakefield. Therefore, on behalf of the Department of Education and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I salute and commend Dr. Chester E. Lee and Dr. Stephen F. Mayo for their long and faithful service to the Wakefield Public Schools, the town of Wakefield, and most especially the children of Wakefield. And I would like to wish them and their families the very best of health and happiness for many years to come. Sincerely, Robert V. Antonucci, Commissioner of Education. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave Parr, Wakefield's new fire chief. To Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee, on behalf of all the members of the Wakefield Fire Department, my sincere thanks for all of your cooperation and work throughout the years, and best wishes on your retirement. Thank you.
Our next speaker is a direct beneficiary of the affection and talents of Dr. and Mrs. Mayo. He knows of Dr. Mayo as a friend, a teacher, counselor, booster, and as his father. I'm very pleased to introduce the son of Dorothy and Dr. Mayo, Stephen Mayo.
Thank you. Mr. Andrews, what you forgot to mention was that in 1978, he was very disappointed that he couldn't open schools before the governor lifted the state of emergency. So I promised Mr. Palmerino that I would keep this brief, but there are a few items I'd like to mention. Dr. Mayo's passion for education and learning is not limited to his public life. His belief that there is an innate value in education has been instilled and nurtured in each of his children. We have all been encouraged to take advantage of every educational opportunity, whether in our primary, secondary, graduate, or vocational areas of our development. This encouragement was often subtle and started at a very early age. Family trips had an educational theme, whether to Williamsburg, Virginia, to Storyland in New Hampshire, or the Kennedy Library. In fact, I find it quite appropriate that today's program quotes Khalil Gibran as one Christmas, Gibran's The Prophet was stuffed into my stocking. Dr. Mayo's passion for learning and teaching is now demonstrated through his interactions with his 5, soon-to-be 7, grandchildren. My son, upon returning from Nanu's house, excitedly tells me of how he and his grandfather have experimented with static electricity, with magnets, or quizzes me on what is the longitude and latitude of Madagascar. Despite Dr. Mayo's busy schedule, he was always available to help his children with his homework. In fact, I can remember his helping me on an English assignment once. When the grade came back, a C, Dr. Mayo marched down to the teacher's office. And when he came back to me, he said that I hadn't told him the correct assignment. Secondly, Dr. Mayo is one of the last great positivists. He does not view the glass as half empty or half full, rather that he got the most out of the first half and he has another half to go. He does not believe in lamenting over past decisions or outcomes. Carefully make your decision, then pursue it with full vigor. Never look back has become one of the mottos of the Mayo family. Thirdly, and lastly for today, Dr. Mayo has always encouraged his students as well as his children to pursue their own individual dream. He has always been nothing but supportive of any decision which his children have made. Don't be afraid to stand out, he chimes. Perhaps he has carried his individuality to an extreme in his attire, however. For years I can remember teasing him about going to the office in a suit, a tie, and a baseball cap with a big W on it. Ever the individual following his dream. However, I'd like to thank Dr. Hoop for setting me straight on that one. Finally, Dad, I'd like to thank you on behalf of your family for not only embodying these passions and philosophies in your public life, but also for the loving and caring way which you continue to nurture these philosophies in your children and grandchildren. Both the students of Wakefield as well as your children could not have been served better. Thank you.
Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee, I want to congratulate you on so many years of wonderful service to the community, and a personal thank you for allowing me a great experience, both in the grammar schools, the junior high school, and the high school, and especially for Dr. Mayo for allowing me to graduate on time. That'll be our own little secret. Best of luck to both of you.
The informal setting of this recognition reception for Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee is in keeping with their preference for an affair that reflects the human touch of bringing together colleagues, friends, admirers, and family. Serving at the center of the planning effort, Bill Scully has emphasized the dignity and character of this event, which is in keeping with any description of Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee. Bill Scully's devoted effort is consistent with his great respect for Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee, and is assured, as a result, a memorable occasion. With gratitude and appreciation, I am pleased to introduce the chairman of the Wakefield School Committee, Attorney William Scully.
Many chapters have been written and spoken of today in the lives and career of Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee. Although it has been our happy charge to chronicle the accomplishments of these two fine gentlemen, it is they who have lived and written their legacy. For James Barrie put it best when he said, "The life of every man is a diary in which he means to write one story and writes another. In his humblest hour is when he compares the volume as it is with what he hoped to make it. The dreams, the visions, the ideals, the thirst and drive for knowledge, the dedication and commitment to our children have now been compared. And in their humblest yet finest hour, the book that they have written has far exceeded their dreams. There is still many chapters to be written, for this book is without an epilogue. The thousands of children that have tutored under their leadership will take up the pen and write volumes to their legacy. Each book must have a cover, one that sets it apart from the rest, one that personalizes this volume from all the others in the library of our hearts and minds, one that reminds us in the days and years to come of the authors of this legacy. Susan, Ann, Susan Majeski, and Ann Payson are pleased to present, on behalf of a grateful community, a tribute to these authors whose image shall be displayed in this school as a testament to their legacy and a reminder to the generations to come of their commitment and dedication to all of the children of Wakefield. On behalf of all of the children of Wakefield, who can call them both Nanu from this day forward, may we make this presentation.
After Mr. Scully's presentation, I must say that it is a personal privilege on my part to stand between these two distinguished gentlemen. Administratively, the Wakefield school system has had the best of both worlds for many years. As Deputy Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Lee has provided a level of leadership, ability, and educational competence consistent with the expectations of our Superintendent of Schools. As a result, our school system has been administered by two men of exceptional talent. The introduction of the Wakefield school system into the computer age is but one example of Dr. Lee's progressive thinking. But he has also brought a business mind in education with the ability to define and set standards, evaluate results, and most importantly, to be able to redefine and redirect as well. Chet is the epitome of one whose presence is always felt, who is quoted often, and who projects a sense of direction and stability. The total application of his professional talents exemplify his genuine love for children. His imprint on Wakefield education is evident and secure. With great pleasure, I am pleased to present to you the former Deputy Superintendent of Schools, but I guess I think we'll always consider him the Deputy Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Chester Lee.
Thank you very much, Al, for the wonderful job you've done today as the Master of Ceremonies. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for all that you have done for me personally throughout my career for the last 36 years. You've always been a gentleman, an outstanding school committee member, and now as a prestigious member of our finance committee, we still work together. And I want to thank you. And through you, I would like to thank the committee that worked so diligently to put this thing together. I don't know about you, but when I looked at that form with the number of people that were involved, I was really taken at the participation of this community to recognize Dr. Mayo and myself. And I want you to know I appreciate it. And Mr. Scully, I know you've been the driving force behind this, and they didn't dare make a mistake because they knew you were watching over their shoulders. So thank you very much, and I would like to thank all of the speakers for their remarks as we take this goodbye walk from the Wakefield School Department. I would also like to pay special recognition to the Deputy Commissioner of Education and the kind words that he has brought to us from the Commissioner, and I hope you will express those gratitude to him from me. I would like to mention also Scott Simpson. Scott Simpson, a proud product of the Wakefield schools. His mother worked in that Chapter 1 program that Dr. Feudo mentioned. Judy Patterson. Now, of course, Judy Simpson and Brad Simpson, both teachers in the Wakefield schools. I'm sure they're just as proud of Brad as we are, of Scott. Thank you very much for your kindness. I would like to thank the members of the current school committee, and I know I have not only met and have an opportunity today to greet some of former school committee members, and I really appreciate you being here. And I hope I can keep you as long as you kept me. Truly, Wakefield school committee members really look at every single issue that comes before this town in terms of the direction we're going to go. And it is true that there is a lot of debate. There is a lot of, well, I think it should be this way, or I think it should be that way. And that's the way it should be, because we're talking about your kids, and these are people who are representing you because you voted them into their office, and they take it very seriously, and they want their point of view heard. So I want to tell you that I've appreciated the work of the school committee members, and God bless you for all the work you have done for our students. I also recognize there are a number of assistant superintendents and superintendents here, and members of the Wakefield administrative team, classroom teachers, support staff, parents, PTO executives, retirees. It's such a pleasure to see you all. And it's only by working together we've been able to accomplish what we have been able to accomplish. I'd like to mention, obviously, the beautiful work which was done by our band and by our chorale group, directed by Ron Shabaro and Kim Smith, outstanding music educators. And I want to tell you, if you want to go to the junior high school and listen to a concert, or if you want to go to any elementary school and listen to our children sing and work at the creative singing arts, we have a wonderful music program, K to 12. What you have seen today is the product of what's going on in grades kindergarten through 12. I would like to also recognize David Gorley. Some of you don't know who he is. He is a creative artist. Who else could make Steve Mayo and Chet Lee look this good? I would also like to say that there's a very special person here today, a person that I have been friends with for over 50 years, a person who could not leave his house unless his mother said that I could take him. A lifelong friend. Anytime anything's important in my life has occurred, he's been there, and likewise, me with him. My good friend, Tom O'Brien. Thank you, Tom. It means a great deal for you to be here. I would be remiss if I didn't also recognize Dr. Mayo's efforts. We have sat across the table for 15 years, every single morning of every single week, trying to make the decisions that we could use as a basis for moving our schools forward. And I want to tell you, what you heard from these gifted speakers is more than true, because I was there. They've heard about it. I sat there. Steve Maio is an outstanding educator. Steve Maio is an outstanding leader. And Steve Maio is a gentleman. And we enjoyed our morning debates. And I want to tell you, because I won't have an opportunity later, that sitting with us for 15 years, Richard Barker, our business administrator, and Dr. Rudy Fudo, the director not only of special ed, but his role was much more. The four gentlemen that I mentioned, or the three gentlemen and myself, tried to carry out the best of our ability what the school committee had decided that would be the best for this system. And from the boys and girls that we saw here today and the children we send home to you every day, we want to be graded on that, and I think we'll do all right. Someone asked me how I enjoy retirement, and of course it hasn't been that long, but I say every day seems like Saturday. Yeah, you know how at the end of the week you say, well, what have I got to do? Well, I'll keep the facade. So I get up every morning and I say, well, what do I want to do today? I told someone that, and they said, well, do you know how to tell when it's Sunday? They said, the comics are in color. On behalf of my family and myself, I would like you to know how grateful we are for this wonderful reception, and how much we appreciate each one of you being here to share it with us. It's a very emotional experience to listen to others as they reflect on your experience over a number of years. I started 36 years ago, right next door in the Woodville School, teacher, grade 6. Mr. Hendershot, he thought I looked good. Nice looking boy. Yeah. And so you can see how far I've come, about 100 yards. 30 years ago, where you sit today was a farmhouse. This is why they call this Farm Street. There was a farmhouse here, and our senior citizens lived here and tilled the soil. This is all farmland right out here. Had things not changed, I'd probably be here today looking for a room. But things have changed. There's been tremendous changes in Wakefield. Our community has changed a great deal. People come, people go. Buildings burn, new ones are built. All kinds of things, if you reflect back and think over the years, what's happened in Wakefield. But I can tell you something that has not changed. And what has not changed is the commitment that this community has to make sure that Wakefield is a nice place to live. And that commitment always extended to the schools, because this community was willing to pay for what it took. When we needed buildings, you built buildings. When we needed new staff because special education came in and demanded we gave the kind of education that these kids deserved that they hadn't had prior to 766, this community gave us the staffing. You gave us the rooms. As we went into technology and needed computers, and we needed to keep up to make sure that our students were competitive, that our students could walk out of Wakefield and go anywhere and be, in fact, competitive. And you've done that. You and the school department working together. We have given them a gift that will never cease to influence their lives. We give them an excellent education, the very foundation for whatever they will do for the rest of their lives. As I stand here today, I can honestly say that I have been very proud to be part of this community. It does, in fact, take an entire village to educate a child. And you people have worked and worked and worked, and you have worked with us and for us. And this village can be proud of what we have given our young children. I am so pleased. I can't tell you how pleased I am with the education that my children have. And when I see people all over town, or they come into the school, they always take the time to thank us for the education we have given their children. Please accept my gracious appreciation for all of your kind words this afternoon, and to all of you, to see you. I mean, you've all had such an impact on my life. I will cherish remembering, working as we did to do the best we could do for our students. I have always believed that education is the great equalizer, and we have provided that education so these kids can pursue their dreams and their aspirations and go on to self-actualize, to be all that they can be. And we have given that to our children. I can't recognize everyone in the room in terms of their contributions to me as an individual over the years. But I would like to take a chance today and recognize a few people and hope that the rest of you will understand. First and foremost, I would like to recognize Lucian J. Colucci, former superintendent of the Wakefield Schools. He was my mentor, and I'm proud of it. He was a man who knew the task, he knew how to get there, he knew how to take us with him, but he didn't focus on the goal. He focused on the individuals. He focused on the people. He worked like hell to get something done. But he always asked the question, how is this going to influence them? How is this going to impact that? The man was a humanist, and I love working with him, and I remember him today. The others I would like to recognize would be May Majeski. May Majeski, my first secretary on the West Side Schools. She was an experienced woman. She had had principals before. I didn't know what to do. May Majeski worked like the devil, teaching me how to be a good principal and helping me with my work through my doctoral program. Irene Sullivan. Irene Sullivan had been the secretary to Lucian Colucci. And Irene Sullivan was my first secretary in the town of Wakefield. And she was so kind and gentle as she showed me the ropes. And I appreciated Irene. And I appreciate you and your entire family. Margaret Donahue, she couldn't be here today because her health would not allow it. But Margaret Donahue was one of those quiet, gentle people who kept my Irish temper down. And she kept me on course. And I pray that her health improves. And finally, Ann Payson. Ann Payson for the past 8 years has been my devoted secretary. And is just, she makes you look good. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I do or who I get angry. They always come back and say, well, Ann talked to me, and whatever parent, people don't come to Steve's office or my office happy. No. They've been through happy. They want something to happen. And I know in my office it's Ann Payson. And thank you, Ann, for all you've done. I'd like to close by reading a book. But you don't have to worry, it's a child's book. It's a child's book. Children's books are always large, but they're filled with pictures. And I hope you spend time with your children, reading with them and to them and listening to them. And very few words, really, but most of the time they carry a message that's good for children, and one that's good for us to remember, to go back to. This book was given to me by Missy Thompson and Chris Sacco. They're in our library department, and they were kind enough to put one of these books in every elementary library in Wakefield. And I really am grateful. I don't know if they're here or not, but I really am grateful for this privilege. I am going to read the first page and the last page, because it's titled The Goodbye Walk by Joan Ryder. And it's about someone who's about to lose something or has just lost something. And I recommend it to parents if you're moving out of a neighborhood or if your child loses a friend because they have moved out. Because it carries a message, and it's a message I will leave you with today. It starts by, let me begin. It takes time to get to know a special place. Time to explore new paths and see new things, and then one day, it's time to say goodbye. And she goes through her goodbye walk the way that these gentlemen and ladies have taken Steve and I on our goodbye walk from the Wakefield Public Schools. And I'll conclude. At the end of the goodbye walk, your arms may be empty, but you are full of things to take with you, feelings and sights tucked deep inside of you, memories to keep forever and ever. Wakefield, thank you for the memories.
Hi, Steve and Chet. I just want to wish you the best in your retirement. You made it before I did. Good luck.
It would be appropriate at this time for me to introduce the family of Dr. Lee to you. With great pleasure, I'd like to introduce the mother of Chet Lee, Mrs. Cora Lee. Please stand. And Dr. Lee's two sons, Jimmy and David. Please stand. Dr. Mayo has served the profession of education as a teacher, guidance counselor, principal, and as superintendent of schools. He has served with distinction. As superintendent of schools, he realized that he never relinquished his role as teacher. He only added to it. As the leader of our educational system, he espoused and served as a model of dedication, values, and ethics. To his public responsibilities, he brought stature, dignity, and character. His optimism is always evident, even during times of financial stress in the face of educational needs. He always provided a sense of confidence and stability to our educational system. We're also privileged to know him as a friend. He has charted a meaningful course for the future of our educational system, and his influence will be felt and appreciated for many years. His professional creed may have been summarized from a quote by Woodrow Wilson, who once said, and I quote, "If you think what you ought to do for other people, your character will take care of itself," unquote. Dr. Mayo is the embodiment of integrity, the personification of high values, the epitome of genuine friendship, and a supreme educator. It is a great personal privilege for me to introduce to you, I guess forever, our superintendent of schools, Dr. Stephen Mayo.
Thank you very much, Al.
My deepest gratitude and my family's gratitude to all of you in charge of this program. I know Bill Scully and Al Palmerino, you worked very, very hard on this program, as has your committee. I'd really like to thank all of you out there. I see many of my staff members, including teachers, administrators, classroom aides, clerical staff, custodial staff, cafeteria workers. I'm also grateful to the music boosters, to the band, the chorus, all of the students that were here. Scott Simpson was very humble. He didn't say that just at the last school committee meeting, he received the Superintendent's Award for the highest achievement in academic excellence, and I'd like to compliment him on that. And my gratitude to my son Steve, and my love for his kind words, and for all of you that spoke today. Paul Andrews, certainly going to miss those. Well, we'll be talking in the next couple of months. And of course, David Driscoll, I'm very happy that Mr. Antonucci, Dr. Antonucci, suddenly is having faith in you, because we've had a lot of faith in you. And Marge, thank you for your kind words, and John, your kind words, and certainly Rudy, it's great to see you again, and for your kind words about Chet. And we're really pleased about the format for this occasion. This just really didn't happen. This was something that Chet wanted very much, and I wanted very much, to move from the traditional retirement outside of the school system and have the retirement here in the schools that we worked every single day. And if it is 70 years, so it is 70 years together. And we're happy about that, and we're really happy and thankful to the committee for acting on our wishes. And Chet, I wish you and your family really best wishes. We have worked together for 15 years. They've been really good 15 years. I know we've complemented each other greatly on our strengths together and our weaknesses together. And I certainly will miss you and wish you and your family the very best wishes in the future. My deep love and my gratitude go to my wife, Dorothy. Not only the winds beneath my wings, she's been my mentor, my support system, my safe harbor, my source of motivation, and most important, she's been the heart of the family. And Dorothy, I really thank you for that. When I was in Fort Dix going through basic training, as I was in the National Guard for about 9 years, and I did training in Fort Dix, my wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, but she wrote me a letter, told me there was a job open in Wakefield and I should apply. That was in 1959. That was before we were married, and every once in a while I would visit her as a teacher. She taught the first grade in summer school. She had about 47 students in her class at the time. And when I occasionally came in to pick her up, invariably the students seeing me out in the hallway would rush back in and say, "Miss Costas, your father's here again to visit you." Dorothy has sealed our marriage not only with great caring and great cooking, but she's taught me not to take myself too seriously, and I thank her for that. And if the teachers and others who have been at other retirement parties will forgive me, taking oneself too seriously reminds me of the story of a retiring superintendent who decided that after he retired, he'd really try to rejuvenate himself, do a lot of exercise, get up early every day and do some running, eat the right food, get a toupee for his bald head, and do all the right kinds of things so that in retirement he'd be the epitome of good health. So one day the superintendent walks out into the street, and the first car that comes along hits him, and the superintendent is lying on the pavement and he's looking up at heaven and he says, "God, how could you do this to me?" And God looks down and says, "Frankly, I didn't recognize you." My gratitude for my family, I owe them so much for their love and support. I was going to introduce them, but I think Mr. Palmerino will introduce them. Khalil Gibran, so beautifully and significantly quoted in the program, also wisely commented that the time of parting can also be the time of gathering. And this is really a very moving time of gathering today, and I thank you for it. I was appointed in 1978 as superintendent of schools. Not too soon after their appointment, we had the blizzard of 1978, followed very shortly by Proposition 2.5. And I knew intuitively how General George Custer felt in 1876 when he ran into Indians on the left, Indians on the right, Indians in front of him, and Indians on the rear, and he wasn't prepared for any of them. For some reason, Proposition 2.5 hit our town harder than most communities, and it was probably because the community was well managed and really wasn't getting any breaks from the state. And we had really impossible decisions to make. We had decisions to make regarding school closings. We had to make decisions or make choices between textbooks and freshman sports, between AP subjects and basic studies. And they were impossible decisions. And Chet and I, we strove for balance. We worked very, very hard together. And no matter how hard those morning's meetings were, we came out unified and really striving for balance and striving to consolidate the system. When we enjoyed the business relationships that came to help us, and we're grateful to them. We worked with school committees past and present that were willing to take a risk. We worked to collaborate with other school systems like Melrose and Woburn, present here today. Would all the superintendents that are here today raise your hand, please, or stand up? Thank you very, very much for coming, all of the superintendents. We collaborated with all the superintendents to help each other. We had volunteers come in and help. We had teachers that were willing to take on extras. And the parents, we never can thank the parents enough, the PTOs, for what they did, the contributions that they made. The administrators, the teachers, the clerks, the custodians, the classroom aides, the cafeteria workers, the selectmen, the finance committee. I think we achieved that balance. I know we did it. I'm really grateful for all those groups, for everyone that helped us. And despite all, I really have loved this opportunity, and I'm grateful to the town for allowing me to work with its youth all these years. Thoughts of change and transition have come to me gradually. The state retirement program accelerated the personal process that I was going through. But there is a time for everything, and under heaven, and my season has come. John Steinbeck writes in Sweet Thursday that men do change, and change comes like a wind that ruffles the curtains at dawn, and it comes like a stealthy perfume of wild flowers hidden in the grass. My short-range goal is to work with the school committee, the staff, and the town to develop a smooth, a dynamic, and efficient transition of leadership. During this process, there is still a great deal to do. Every day we have a great deal to do. There's much that still needs to be done. And we want to continue planning and working to ensure that we do not miss any of the beats for the sake of all of our children. On a personal level, I plan to continue in education somewhere as an administrator, consultant, or a teacher, or probably a combination of all of the above. In my private vision, I'm really struck by the great ability of the people and the great goodness of the people in the community of Wakefield. I'm reminded of Shakespeare's Tempest, when Miranda says, "Oh, wonder how many good creatures there are here, how many beauteous people in mankind there are. Oh, brave new world that has such people in it." My private vision is that the great energy of this community gets focused like a laser beam with all groups working together, the school committee, the school department, the selectmen, the finance committee, all the boards in town, the PTOs, the school councils, the Citizen Scholarship Foundation, the Wakefield Educational Foundation, the WCNA, all of the clubs in town, the print media, the television media, all working for education and for the highest quality of community life. It is an attainable goal, and I hope I can assist in that process in the future. Thank you all very, very much again. My sincere gratitude for this day and for all the days I have worked with you and our children. Thank you very much.
Again, it is a personal privilege to present a plaque in which today's program is framed to present to Dr. Mayo.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Steve and Chet. Enjoy your retirement, and thank you for all your contributions to elementary education in Wakefield.
All the best, Chet and Steve. May you fare well in your future retirement.
Once again, to reiterate, the best of luck in your retirement. Hopefully you enjoy it, and we're really going to miss you.
Congratulations to the both of you. We will miss you, yes, that's true. I want you to enjoy the days, though. Have fun every single day and relax. Take care.
This is strictly off the cuff, guys, but Chet and Steve, this is very difficult for me. I wish you the best in everything, you know that. I looked forward to coming this afternoon, and yet part of me didn't want to come. Almost like benediction, you know, 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. But I do wish you the best. I can't think of any two people that did more for this system and did it gracefully and as gentlemen. I'm sorry this seems so disjointed, but it's sincere. Good luck. Thanks.
To both Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee, on behalf of the Wakefield Board of Selectmen and the town of Wakefield, thank you very much for your dedication to the education system in Wakefield all these years. Many years of health and happiness. Thank you.
Well, now, I'm awfully happy to be here, and I'm representing both myself and Gertrude Spaulding. Gertrude will be here herself, but she's waiting for Santa Claus up at Kennebunkport this afternoon. He's coming in on a lobster boat, and she has her little children, or grandchildren, who are aged 5 and a half and 7 and a half. But having said that, I would like to say that the turnout that I've seen here, if it isn't the greatest turnout for two people in the history of Wakefield, I don't know what's in second place. Steve and Chet, you've done a wonderful job. The town is grateful for all of your activities and your performances for some 18 years and more in others. And I believe that this tribute is so meaningful and so right. In Gertrude's day, of course, when you came, Steve, she was on the State Board of Higher Education, because that was frustration at a higher level, as she called it. Prior to that, she served on the school committee, and you can understand that. But we're so grateful, and thank you, and bless your heart.
Steve, Chet, Rich Weisenbach at the Congregational Church, just want to say we thank God for your presence and ministry here for the children over the past several years. God bless you. Thank you.
His wife, Dorothy Mayo. His son, Stephen, and Stephen's wife, Jean, and their children, Stephen and Justin. Stephen. Their daughter, Nancy, and husband, Tony Colarusso. Their daughter, Susan, husband, Jamie Gardner, and Taylor. And their daughter, Catherine, and her husband, Frank Gibbons. At this time, I'd like to make particular note of a number of people who have made a special contribution to the success of this affair. A number of names are listed, as you know, in your program, but in particular, may I recognize Jemiah Webster, who made the gingerbread schools that you see. The high school students made the ornaments on the walls, the gingerbread men. For the students who donated and decorated the ornaments and the centerpieces, to the man who's always seen at any school function, Bob Burke, for taking all these pictures. Thank you again, Bob. To Spinello's Forest for donating the plants and the wreath. And a special thanks, a very special thanks to two very special people, Tina Lausdorff and Tim Healy, for the refreshments and the facilities. Outstanding job again, as always. We thank both of you. As opposed to being original a second time, I think I'd like to conclude the proceedings by reading the epilogue to you. They maintained a unified focus on the education and welfare of all students. They personified a common purpose, uninterrupted by protocol, but enhanced by mutual respect. Professionalism was their guide and torch, that they are also known for the human acts of caring and concern for others. They were models of character and values to students, the professional staff, and to our community. They leave a legacy of our everlasting gratitude for the deep commitment to educational excellence. And since Khalil Gibran is a favorite of many of us, I believe, it would be appropriate, I think, to extend and to read this on behalf of all the educators in the school system. If a teacher is indeed wise, he does not bid you enter the house of his wisdom, but rather lead you to the threshold of your own mind. I do suggest that goal has been accomplished. We thank you most sincerely from a very grateful school system, parents, and community. Thank you very, very much.
Chet and Steve, this is a wonderful day for you, a wonderful tribute to you for all the work you've done, and a personal thank you to you for the time you have given me this year in completing my superintendency internship in Wakefield. Again, thank you and good luck and farewell.
Hi, Chet. Hi, Steve. Geez, what can I say? This is a wonderful time today. And the only thing I can say is you guys are leaving just when we started to agree on so many things. I wish you both the very best. Steve, I look forward to working with you on the school community project. Chet, geez, get a job and stop playing tennis so much. Have a wonderful life, the two of you. You deserve it.
Good afternoon, Dr. Mayo and Dr. Lee. It's nice to see that you men are retiring the same as I did. So I wish you all the best in the world.
Steve and Chet, wish you the best. I appreciate all the help you gave to me over the years. It was really good working for you, and it made a good life for me at Wakefield, and I really appreciate your help. Thanks a lot. Good luck in the future.
Okay, go ahead.
Steve, good luck. It was great working with you over the course of the years. You're a great superintendent. You're a great educator. Just hang in there. Stay with education. It needs you.
Now say something to Chet.
And Chet, you're a good guy. What else do you want me to say to Chet?
No, it's just I'm back in a much better frame of mind. We'll just...
I've always been in a good frame of mind.
No, I said I am.
Oh, you are?
I'm in a much better frame of mind than I was before, so I want to wish them good luck in a much more normal way because I didn't know I was being taped at that particular time.
Okay. All right. Good luck, Chet. And you need to be around, too. Don't disappear. Both you and Steve still have a lot to offer, and you should stay in education.
Good night, Chet. Say good night, Steve.
Good night, Steve.